Okay, this is my audience. So it's my husband, my sister-in-law, my sister, my mom, and my dad. Okay, can you time me?
Tell me
Okay.
when to start. Stopwatch, right?
Yeah. Okay, you can start now. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming out to this event and giving me the time to speak on such a time-sensitive matter. To start off, who would like to one day have to run away from your home and life in California because we go underwater? Or how about not have time to evacuate and lose everything and perhaps die or lose family members when the sea rises more than it already has and leaves the West Coast underwater? Yeah, it doesn't sound nice, right? Well, as I'm sure you know now, after the last time I spoke to you all here, global warming and climate change are two different things. In simplest terms, global warming causes climate change. The increase in the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is considered as the most contributing reason for this global phenomenon. This has caused an increase of the temperature by about 1 degree Fahrenheit per year. It doesn't sound like much, but it is. If things keep going this way, it's going to result in the complete melting of the polar ice caps. The immediate outcome of this would be the rise in sea levels, which we are already seeing. The countries which are having large coastal areas will be the first to suffer from it. So think about where you live and let that sink in. As I'm sure you've seen in the media all around the world, natural disasters are happening frequently and more violent than usual, and it'll only get worse. Global warming is one of the world's problems that most people are well aware about. Some don't believe and others simply don't care. This is a problem that society's development has caused with greenhouse gases and pollution, giving no concern to nature or the environment. As long as they have their fancy cars and make money from their huge factories and enjoy life however they please, no one cares about the fact that it is killing our world, and soon we will go with it too. It must be acknowledged that our world and wildlife are suffering due to us simply not taking care of our home. For example, polar bears in many ways have become the symbol of climate change. In 2008, they were listed as a threatened species under the Endangered Species Act, the first species to be listed because of population declines from the effects of climate change. The primary cause of their decline is loss of sea ice habitat, attributed to Arctic warming. Polar bears need sea ice to hunt seals, which is a main source of their food, as well as to move across the large home ranges they need for foraging habitat. But polar bears aren't alone in feeling the effects of shrinking sea ice. Walruses and other Arctic species are facing similar changes as sea ice continues to retreat. Here, I'm going to show you guys some examples and pictures of polar bears suffering in their habitat. Here is a picture of a polar bear on a tiny little piece of ice, looking sad. And then a polar bear and her cub, again, on tiny little pieces of ice. This is a malnourished polar bear, which you can clearly see is suffering on a tiny little piece of ice. This is a polar bear who is dead. And as you can see, that is not their natural habitat. There is no ice, no snow, just a little bit on the tops of the mountains, and that is not normal. Again, here, completely out of their normal habitat and also looking very malnourished. Another example I'll provide you with are the increase in wildfires. The Environmental Protection Agency has conducted studies and found that climate change has already led to an increase in wildfire season length and wildfire season frequency and burned area. The wildfire season has lengthened in many areas due to factors including warmer springs, longer summer dry seasons, and drier soils and vegetation. Additionally, earlier spring melting and reduced snowpack result in decreased water availability during these hot summer conditions, which in turn contributes to an increased wildfire risk, allowing fires to burn hotter and start more easily. These trends of longer wildfire seasons and larger wildfire size are predicted to continue as more frequent and longer droughts occur. With the rise of these wildfires burning hotter and longer than before, of course, it raises the burned area and destroyed habitats. Here, I will show you guys a graph showing the rise in wildfires dating back from 1980 to today's date. As you can see here to today, it's the highest that it's been, and it is measured in acres burned. So as of 2022, there has been 12 million acres burned, and that is the highest that it's been. Think of the animals who have to flee from their home, or the animals who don't make it. Put yourself in their mind. Imagine the fear. Matter of fact, let me show you. Here are some pictures of animals having to flee from their homes during these wildfires. Here is a deer stuck in the wildfire. Here is a squirrel trying to get away from this wildfire, running towards civilization. Here is two kangaroos trying to get away from a wildfire in Australia. And here is just a picture of a huge forest fire. This isn't okay, and we need to make a change now and help our wildlife before it's too late. Although it's not just the responsibility of the various governments to take steps for preventing this, although it would help. But it's time for us to unite in order to protect our home, the planet, from disaster and full-on decay. Each and every one of us has a duty to fulfill to prevent this imminent disaster. Simple changes and actions would be enough to work towards preventing this big problem. One simple act would be to plant more trees. This can decrease the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. There are many more easy changes we can make though, such as reduce, reuse, and recycle. We need to cut down on our waste as to conserve natural resources and landfill space. You could also volunteer every once in a while for cleanups, like the beach, for example, and help the marine wildlife. You can also educate others when you can and use long-lasting light bulbs. This is an easy way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Also, remember to flip the light switch off when you leave the room. Lastly would be to consider biking more and driving less. Reduce the air pollution coming from your own car. I hope you all at least take everything I have mentioned this morning into consideration and perhaps make these small changes and further educate yourselves. We only have one Earth, one chance. There is no planet B or do-overs. Our Earth is on fire and we need to save her and our wildlife. Thank you, everyone, and take care.